You're watching Stoic Scrolls, where we take modern problems and look at them through the calm, sharp lens of ancient Stoic wisdom. And today, we're facing a figure almost everyone has met at some point, or is dealing with every single day: the toxic boss. The kind of person who drains your energy before you even step into the office and leaves you exhausted by the time you walk out. But the real problem isn't simply that they're toxic. The real problem is our reaction to their toxicity. Stoicism doesn't magically remove difficult people from your life. It doesn't pretend reality is rosy or fair. Instead, it teaches an art of living, the ability to stay grounded no matter how chaotic the world becomes, and especially when someone above you tries to pull you into their chaos. Imagine this. It's early morning. You arrive at work. You haven't even sat down yet, and your boss is already shouting, "Why isn't this report finished? How many times do I have to say this?" And deep down, you know what actually happened. Yesterday, they changed the requirements 3 times. The deadline was unrealistic from the beginning, and you're doing exactly what was agreed on. But somehow, you are always the one who's wrong. In their eyes, you're always the mistake. And as their voice rises, you feel yourself getting smaller. You feel your energy slipping away. You feel that familiar thought whispering in your head: "I want to quit." It's a scene many of us know too well. Seneca once described people like this. He said that those who can't control their own emotions end up trying to control the emotions of others. And that's exactly what a toxic boss does. They spill their chaos onto everyone around them. But the Stoic question is never, "How do I change them?" The Stoic question is, "How do I stop letting them control me?" Because the Stoics understood something surprising. The true enemy isn't the boss. The real battle is inside us, in the way we interpret, react, and absorb the behavior of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "People may do wrong, but they cannot force you to respond wrongly unless you allow them." And that single idea changes everything. Because once you understand that your boss doesn't control your mind, your emotions, or your inner peace, you begin taking your power back. In this video, we're going to explore how Stoicism helps you stay grounded in the most difficult situations, including dealing with someone who seems determined to make your day harder than it needs to be. And step by step, we'll look at how to shift your mindset, protect your emotional space, and regain control over the one thing that always belongs to you: your response. And with that foundation, we're ready to begin our journey into the Stoic way of handling a toxic boss. Not by fighting them, not by fearing them, but by strengthening ourselves from the inside out. Before we dive into the techniques, let's pause for a moment. Because if you're dealing with a toxic boss right now, you've probably asked yourself at least once, why do I have to change? Why can't they just stop being toxic? And that question is exactly where Stoicism begins. The Stoics believe that every situation has 2 parts. One part you can control, and one part you cannot. Your boss's behavior, their mood swings, their ego, their insecurity, their power games. None of that is under your control. No matter how hard you try, you cannot bend their emotions or their personality into something reasonable. But there is one thing that always stays within your reach: your own response. The way you hold your tone, your breath, your thoughts. The way you choose your next move. That is your territory. That is where you have full power. Epictetus famously said, "Some things are up to us, and some are not." It sounds simple, but inside a modern workplace, it becomes a powerful shield. When you stop trying to control your boss, you free up energy to control yourself, your clarity, your calm, your boundaries, and your actions. Imagine this. Every time your boss snaps at you, instead of taking it personally, you ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, you let the emotion pass. If the answer is yes, you handle what is truly yours to handle. Just this small shift can save you from a huge amount of emotional exhaustion every single day. And then we come to a technique the Stoics relied on constantly: emotional distancing. When your boss is yelling or criticizing you, your instinct is to react with anger, fear, or frustration. But Stoicism teaches a tiny pause, a mental step backward. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." The moment you understand that, you instantly gain strength. So what does emotional distancing look like in real life? It's when your boss lashes out, and instead of thinking, "They're attacking me," you shift to, interesting, they're losing control. That's their emotion, not mine. You stop absorbing their negativity like a sponge. You step back, just enough to see the situation from the outside, almost like you're watching a scene in a movie. And when you become the observer rather than the target, something changes. Clarity appears, calm returns. You feel a surprising amount of inner freedom. Your boss may be exploding on the outside, but inside, you remain steady. That is the Stoic emotional shield, the quiet power that protects you from being dragged into someone else's chaos. And now that we've built the foundation, the mindset that stops your boss from invading your inner peace, we can go deeper. Stoicism isn't just about staying calm. It's about transforming adversity into strength. And in the next part, we'll explore a fascinating idea: how a toxic boss, whether they intend to or not, can become one of the strictest teachers fate sends into your life, shaping you into someone stronger, sharper, and more resilient. Now that we've built a foundation, understanding what you can control, learning to step back from your emotions, we can move into a deeper Stoic insight. And it's one that sounds strange at first, maybe even uncomfortable. The toxic people in your life can become some of your greatest teachers. Not because they're wise, not because they're right, but because they challenge you in ways comfort never will. The Stoics believed that difficult people are placed in our path for a reason. Epictetus wrote that every challenge is a chance to practice a virtue: patience, courage, discipline, clarity, self-mastery. Without someone pushing your buttons, how would you learn to control them? Without someone testing your limits, how would you discover how strong those limits actually are? So imagine your toxic boss again, the constant criticism, the unpredictable temper, the pressure. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it's draining. But what if, instead of seeing them as an obstacle, you saw them as a training partner? A strict one, yes. Maybe even an unintentional one, but a training partner nonetheless. Marcus Aurelius had people he called the obstructive, the ungrateful, the arrogant, the deceitful. He wrote that these people exist everywhere and that the wise person doesn't wish for them to disappear. Instead, he said, "They are part of the world, and dealing with them is part of my practice." Your boss's criticism becomes a way to practice emotional resilience. Their unpredictability becomes a way to practice staying calm in uncertainty. Their harsh tone becomes a way to practice not taking things personally. Their unfair demands become a way to practice clear communication and boundaries. It doesn't excuse their behavior. It doesn't mean you admire them or that you must accept what's harmful. It simply means that while they are in your life, you can choose to turn their negativity into your training ground. And something powerful happens when you see your toxic boss through that lens. You stop feeling like a victim being acted upon. You become an active participant. Someone who's growing stronger, sharper, more grounded every time a challenge comes your way. Instead of thinking, "Why does this keep happening to me?" you begin thinking, "What is this teaching me today?" And that shift alone can change everything. Not only in the workplace, but in every relationship and challenge you face. Because once you learn to face one difficult person well, you learn to face all difficult people well. But of course, Stoicism isn't about enduring everything forever. It's not about letting people walk over you in the name of growth. In the next part, we'll explore something equally important: how to create healthy, silent boundaries, the kind that don't provoke conflict, but quietly protect your inner world. And deeper still, we'll talk about a crucial truth: knowing when to stay and when a Stoic would choose to walk away. As we move forward, let's talk about something that many people misunderstand about Stoicism. Stoicism is not about being silent forever. It's not about being passive or letting others walk all over you. Stoicism is about choosing your battles and protecting your inner world without unnecessary conflict. And that brings us to a subtle but powerful idea: the art of setting quiet boundaries. A quiet boundary isn't dramatic. It's not confrontational. It doesn't require raising your voice or challenging your boss head-on. Instead, it's a calm, steady way of saying, through your actions and your clarity, "This is where I end, and this is where your chaos no longer enters." So what does that look like? It looks like changing the timing of your responses so you're not reacting instantly to their anger. It looks like keeping written records of tasks, deadlines, and conversations so you protect yourself without needing to argue. It looks like asking precise questions when instructions are unclear so you don't get trapped in moving expectations. It looks like focusing on facts instead of tone, because facts cannot be twisted as easily as emotions. And, above all, it looks like staying calm, not as a form of surrender, but as a form of control. You reinforce the boundary not with aggression, but with clarity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to meet aggression with firmness, not anger. Firmness doesn't require volume. It doesn't require drama. It requires consistency, the quiet confidence of someone who knows who they are. When your boss pushes too far, a quiet boundary might sound like, "I can continue this task, but I'll need the updated requirements in writing." Or, "I want to make sure I deliver exactly what you expect. Could you confirm the priority?" Or simply, "I'll handle what's within my scope." No fighting. No defensiveness, just clarity. And you'll be surprised how often clarity disarms chaos. But setting boundaries is only one side of the equation. There's another question that Stoicism forces us to face, a question that requires maturity, honesty, and courage. When is it time to walk away? Because Stoicism is not about endurance at all costs. It's not about staying in a burning building just to prove you're strong. It's about wisdom, knowing the difference between a challenge that makes you grow and an environment that destroys your spirit. A toxic boss can be a teacher for a while, but not forever. Even the Stoics believed in limits. Seneca warned that you should not remain in a place that corrupts your character. Epictetus told his students not to spend their life in the company of people who damage their soul. And Marcus Aurelius wrote that if a situation becomes incompatible with integrity, you must step away, calmly, without bitterness, but firmly. Leaving isn't weakness. Leaving can be the most stoic decision of all. The decision to protect your dignity, your energy, and your future. So as we continue this video, keep this truth in mind. There is strength in staying, but there is also strength in leaving. Wisdom is knowing which one the moment calls for. In the next section, we'll explore how to recognize that moment clearly. How to know when the situation is shaping you, and when it's simply draining you. Let's go deeper into one of the hardest questions a person can face. How do I know when this situation is helping me grow, and when it's simply wearing me down? Because toxic environments are tricky. Sometimes they strengthen you. Sometimes they slowly drain you without you noticing. And Stoicism isn't about blindly enduring either one. It's about understanding your inner state with absolute honesty. The Stoics believed that your emotions aren't the enemy. They are signals. They are pieces of information about what is happening inside you. So ask yourself, when you deal with your boss, do you feel a sense of challenge or a sense of damage? Does the situation push you to become more patient, more disciplined, more precise? Or does it make you feel smaller, powerless, and disconnected from yourself? Growth feels difficult, but it never destroys your sense of self. Damage, on the other hand, slowly dissolves your identity. Marcus Aurelius faced constant pressure, criticism, and political hostility. Yet he remained grounded because, deep down, he knew his struggles were shaping him, not consuming him. He wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." But he also wrote something equally important. If the environment becomes incompatible with your integrity, walk away with dignity. The Stoics didn't celebrate suffering. They celebrated purpose. So here are the questions a Stoic would ask. Am I becoming stronger because of this, or weaker because of this? Am I learning patience, or am I losing myself? Is this building my character, or is it corroding my spirit? Does this help me grow, or does this keep me stuck? If the answer leans toward growth, then this challenge might still have something to teach you. If the answer leans toward damage, then the lesson may already be over. Walking away isn't an emotional reaction. A Stoic leaves calmly, clearly, with full awareness of why. Not in anger, not in fear, but in recognition that they must protect their mind and their values. And here's something important. Leaving doesn't always mean quitting your job overnight. Sometimes it means stepping back emotionally. Sometimes it means limiting interactions. Sometimes it means finding allies, documenting situations, preparing options, and planning a better path for yourself. Walking away can be a process, a thoughtful, strategic path toward a healthier environment. Stoicism teaches that you cannot choose what happens to you, but you can always choose the next step you take. And that choice, the next step, is where your power lives. In the final part of this video, we'll bring everything together. We'll revisit the Stoic tools you've learned and explore how to use them not just to survive a toxic boss, but to walk through life with a stronger mind, a calmer heart, and a clearer sense of who you are. Because in the end, the real victory isn't winning against your boss. It's winning back yourself. As we come to the end of this journey, take a moment to breathe. You've walked through ideas that have shaped warriors, emperors, philosophers, ideas that have helped people endure far more than a difficult boss. And now, those same ideas are in your hands. Stoicism doesn't promise an easy life. It doesn't promise that people will treat you fairly, or kindly, or rationally. But it does promise something far more valuable: the ability to remain steady, no matter what happens around you. A toxic boss can shake your confidence, drain your energy, and make every day feel like a battle, but only if you let their chaos enter your inner world. The Stoics teach us that your peace is yours, not theirs to control. You've learned to separate what you can control from what you cannot. You've learned to step back from your emotions, to observe rather than absorb. You've learned to use your challenges as a training ground, turning frustration into discipline and pressure into strength. You've learned how quiet boundaries can protect your mind without creating unnecessary conflict. And you've learned that wisdom sometimes means staying, and sometimes means walking away with dignity. All of this leads to one final truth. Your boss may lead your workload, but you lead your life. Your character, your voice, your values, those belong only to you. And when you protect them, you become untouchable in a way no title or position can match. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The world is nothing but change. Our life is nothing but the choices we make." The situation around you may not change today or tomorrow, but your choices, how you think, how you respond, how you rise, those choices shape the person you become. So whether you stay and grow or leave and heal, do it with clarity, do it with calmness, do it with the quiet strength of someone who knows exactly who they are. And remember this: a toxic boss may challenge you, but they do not define you. Your mind, your peace, your path, that is where your true power lives.
There is something I want to share honestly, something I have learned after years of watching, experiencing, and yes, sometimes enduring difficult people at work. Dealing with a toxic boss isn't just a workplace issue, it's a personal issue. It's a mirror that reflects something deeper inside us. Most of the time, we think we dislike our boss because they shout, because they are unreasonable, or because they micromanage everything. But the more I have lived, the more I have realized something uncomfortable. What exhausts the most is not the boss. It's the feeling of losing control of our emotions because of someone else. The toxic boss is just the trigger. The real pain lives inside our reaction. And this is where Stoicism suddenly becomes surprisingly modern. It is not just an ancient philosophy written by old men thousands of years ago. It is a skill, a survival skill for anyone navigating difficult people today. I went to a place where my boss stressed me out so much that I couldn't sleep, not because of the workload, but because I kept asking myself, why am I letting someone who barely knows me control my mood this much? And that question changed everything. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control other people, but we can control the meaning we attach to their behavior. Someone says, my boss stressed me out. But the truth is, The boss only provides a stimulus. The reaction is ours.
Thank you for watching Stoic Scrolls. If today's journey brought you clarity or strength, stay with us, because together we're learning how to live with courage, wisdom, and calm in a world that desperately needs all three.